Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Greetings to all. This is an online video class lecture, especially for the students of National University of Bangladesh. And I am Muhammad Habibur Rahman, lecturer, Department of English at Joshore Government City College, Joshore. Would like to welcome to you all to this online study program. Dear students, this is the time of Corona pandemic. That is why it is not possible for us to conduct your normal class at your college classroom. For this reason, your university, National University, has arranged this online study program. Hopefully, this online study program will be a great help for you during this Corona pandemic. And I hope you will follow this online class attentively and staying at home, you will continue your study. And as a resource person, being the part of this study program, I feel really happy. So hope for the best. Let's start our journey. Dear students, at first, let me introduce the lesson that I am going to conduct with you. Especially, I am here with you for the students of Master's Preliminary level who are studying at the Department of English. And as a student of Master's Preliminary level, you have a syllabus, and in your syllabus, you have 9 courses, including Viva and tutorial. And among those 9 courses, you have one of the major course, that is romantic poetry. And basically, I am going to conduct the course romantic poetry. And this is the first lecture with you. And your course code, 411103. And with the instruction of National University, this course will be completed within 10 classes. So actually, it is a very tough to complete the course within 10 days. So in spite of that, I will try my best to complete the course within 10 days, and I have to ready this class within 10 days. So that is why it will be a very hectic and busy time for me. Hope for the best. And today, the title of the lecture is Tintern Abbey, written by William Wordsworth. William Wordsworth, poet of nature, who belongs to romantic age or romantic poetry. So let's start our discussion. Hopefully, you will be more up and doing to listen my class lecture, and I think it will be a great help for you. So at the very beginning, I will show you the learning outcome. So at first you will find the introduction to the poet William Wordsworth, introduction to the poem Tintern Abbey, background of the poem, summary of the poem, subject matters of the poem, themes of the poem, form or writing style of the poem, speciality of the poem, memorable quotations of the poem, and at last you will find a new question analysis. And hopefully, if you follow this class, or after completing this class, I think you will be able to understand all the topic I am showing here. Since this is the first class with you, that is why I should show you the syllabus. So this is the syllabus, romantic poetry. And in romantic poetry, you will have 4 writers: Wordsworth, William Wordsworth, S.T. Coleridge, P.B. Shelley, and John Keats. So this is the syllabus, and I have the attempt to complete the syllabus within 10 classes. So this is the first class. As this is the first class, I will talk about William Wordsworth, Tintern Abbey. So at the very beginning, I will show you introduction to the poet. To study any poetry or piece of literature, so that times you should go through the lives of poet or the writer. So that is why I will show you in short about the poet. So poet, William Wordsworth, William Wordsworth was an English romantic poet who was an early leader of romanticism. And romanticism, so the word romanticism is very important in case of romantic poetry. A literary movement. Romanticism basically a literary movement that celebrated nature and concentrated on human emotion. And in the history of English literature, basically this romanticism or romantic period, this is very important. And basically the romanticism or romantic period, or the word romantic, that is synonymous of imagination. So imagination is the most important fact for this romantic period. And the romantic period starts with in 1798 with the publication of lyrical ballad that was written by William Wordsworth and Samuel Taylor Coleridge. And William Wordsworth basically is called the father of romantic poetry. And here you will find the uh, everlasting definition of poetry that is given by William Wordsworth. So this is: poetry is the spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings. So this is the collection from the lyrical ballads. So this is the simple introduction for William Wordsworth. And you should know that William Wordsworth basically known as poet of nature. Poet of nature. In Bangla, we can compare William Wordsworth with in a Bengali language or Bengali literature, that is Jibanananda Das. I think. So now I will show you the introduction to the poem. So here the poem, Tintern Abbey, the name by William Wordsworth. This is the Tintern Abbey. The word Tintern Abbey. Abbey, basically the Abbey refers to the church. Church are holy place, and Tintern, basically the Tintern Abbey refers to the broken church, that is old or broken. So here the title of the poem, basically in a long way: lines written or composed a few miles above Tintern Abbey, on revisiting the banks of the Oye during a tour. Basically, Oye is the river, name of river, during a tour, July 1798, is often abbreviated simply to Tintern Abbey. Basically, the writer William Wordsworth revisit the place of Oye, and after going there, revisiting, that is a second time. So after going there in 1798, he wrote this poem. And this is the background actually, and often abbreviated simply Tintern Abbey. So the poem is commonly known as Tintern Abbey. Is one of the greatest masterpieces of William Wordsworth. It gives a valuable and beautiful analysis of the three different stages in poets' understanding of nature. And the poem was first published in lyrical ballad, 1798, uh, in which the romantic period, in the history of English literature, romantic period starts and ends 1832, and of course you should know the history of English literature. So in this case I should mention at the very beginning you will have the Anglo-Saxon age, and then you will find the English middle age, then you will find the age of restoration, then you will find the age of neoclassical age, then you will find the romantic age, then after romantic age you will find the Victorian age, and after Victorian age you will find the modern, then postmodern. So this is the in brief, this is the consequence, or this is the sequence of history of English literature. So as a student of English literature, you should know about it. The next slide, of course, I will discuss about the three stages that I am showing in the previous slides. So here also you will find another introduction to the poem. So this is the image. This is the Tintern Abbey, image of Tintern Abbey. So basically, Tintern Abbey makes the most revealing document of nature. Basically, this poem suggests the nature. So that is why the poem is very evidence that makes the William Wordsworth as a poet of nature. So here you will find the nature document of nature, philosophy, and the final testament of soul's journey from sensuous to spiritual. So this is very idea, that is soul's journey from sensuous to spiritual. The poem may be regarded as a record of the poet's growth of his spiritual development. So through this poem, you will find the spiritual development of the poet. and it states in clear words in gradual development the Wordsworth attitude towards nature, and it reveals how the poet appreciated nature through the senses and attracted by sound and nature, and then finally discover divine spirit nature. So this is the three stages. This is the early stage, this is the young stage, and this is the massive stage. So three stages. At first stage appreciated nature, then attracted by nature, and finally find divine spirit in nature. So this is the very idea of the poem. So this is the main theme of the poem as well. Another slide you will find, so this is the romantic period, and Tintern Abbey. So basically Tintern Abbey is situated in Wales, in Great Britain. So Great Britain have uh, four states, so among them Wales, one of them, and Tintern Abbey situated in Wales, and Wordsworth visited this place 5 years ago from the composition of the poem. So this is the history or background. You also find here the theme meditative. Actually, the poem is meditative and worshipper of nature. You will find power of nature. You will see the power of nature living on capital and goes through the different stages in his life. So, if you go through the poems, that times you will find that type of idea. So now I should show you in short the background. So I have already told you that this is the revisit in 1798 when he revisits the Tintern Abbey or the Way Valley. So that times he wrote this poem, but his first visit, 1793. So that times William Wordsworth was a young William, but when he revisits, so that times he is matured, and then he wrote this poem. So this is the background of the poem and form or writing style of the poem. So the poem basically 162 lines. It's very long poems actually, and consists of 5 verse paragraphs of varying length written in blank verse. Blank verse, that is unrhymed iambic pentameter. Iambic pentameter, this is the rhetorical things, that is iambic, unstressed and stress level. So whenever you will find unstressed and stress level in a foot, so that times it will be called iambic. And pentameter, pentameter 5 feet, pentameter consists of 5 feet. So here you will find in blank verse, and of course the blank verse, in blank verse, that will be unrhymed, and in form it resembles the English pentateuch, though the apostrophe to my dear friend to poet's Dorothy in the final paragraph admits the eloquence of dramatic monologue. So here we will find the task of dramatic monologue as well. This is the literary device of literary term, that is dramatic monologue. So in dramatic monologue, there will be a speaker and there will be a silent listener. So my dear friend, so this is the indication of dramatic monologue. But basically the poem is a blank verse poem, and consists of verse, paragraph, and lines 162 lines. And the music of the poem also noteworthy. The sublimity of the verse suits the loftiness of the theme. So this is the image. So now I will show you the summary of the poem with the video. Hopefully you will enjoy the poem. So at first you will find the Tintern Abbey, that is William Wordsworth. So this is the birth, and this is the death year of William Wordsworth. And I have already mentioned the poem line composed of few miles above Tintern Abbey is generally known as Tintern Abbey, and it is the father of Romanticism. William Wordsworth, the father of Romanticism. And Tintern Abbey is one of the trumps of Wordsworth genius. It may be called a condensed spiritual autobiography, autobiography of the poet. So autobiography, the biography that has been written by the writer itself or himself. So autobiographical poet, because why it will be called autobiography, because the poet himself went to that place, and then after visiting or revisiting the place, he wrote this poem. So this is why this is the autobiographical element. So that is why it will be called spiritual autobiography of the poet. Then you will find it deals with the subjective experiences of the poet. Subjective experience, that is personal experience, and traces the growth of his mind through different period of his life. So here you will find, if you go through the poem, you will find the different period. So I have already mentioned the different period, the early stage, then young stage, and then the mature stage. So three type of state, or three period, the poet has been crossed while writing this poem. And nature and its influence on poets in various states forms the main theme of the poem. So nature is the main theme of the poem. So that is why William Wordsworth is called poet of nature. The poem deals with the influence of nature on the boy, then the growing youth, then the adult man. And the poem has expressed the feelings towards nature. So here you will find the three stages. So one is the boy, as a boy, and then growing youth, then the man. So this is the three stages, and the poet has expressed his massive feeling towards nature. Basically, you will find a massive feeling, or the complete feeling of nature. Then you will find the poet has especially recollected his poetic idea of Tintern Abbey, where he had gone first time in 1793. I have already mentioned, and this is his revisit. There, that is 1798. This is the start of romantic period, and has expressed his intense faith in nature. So after revisiting, he realized the intense feeling over nature. And there is Wordsworth realization of God in nature. So this idea, this theme is very important. This is the God in nature. It means it indicates the pantheism. Pantheisms, the belief that the God is in nature. So the presence of God, whenever you will find the presence of God in nature, so such type of belief will be called pantheism. So Wordsworth here shows such type of idea, and he got sensuous delight in it. So here he got the sensuous delight. Sensuous, that is felt by senses, and it is all in all to him, and that is felt by heart, not only by body but also by heart. Whenever you will feel with your heart, so that will be called sensuous. And Tintern Abbey impressed him most when he had first visited this place. He has again come to the same place where there are lofty cliffs, the plots of cottage ground, and orchard groves and corpses. So that is the bushes, that is the woods. The orchard, the fruits, bushes or fruits, wood. That is very important idea of Wordsworth, William Wordsworth. Then you will find the poet is glad to see again hedgerows and sportive wood and pastoral farms and green doors. So while visiting that times, the poet is very much glad to see the natural scenery. This is the natural hedgerow, that is the bush, the series of bush. Sportive wood. That is the wooden trees, and pastoral farm. Pastoral. Rural scenery, and green doors. There, so greenery, and this lonely place, the bank of river there, the rolling water from the mountain spring, spring. So this is the natural scenery. This is the imagery, actually, the example of vivid imagery. So this is very important for the poem. So you find and present a beautiful panoramic light. Panoramic, that is celestial, that is eternal light from the scenery. Fine, and the solitary place reminds the poet of fragrant dwellers and hermit cave. So such type of sensuous feelings the poet has while revisit the Tintern Abbey. So this is the simple summary. Now I will go through the five section. The poem has five section. As the poem is so long, so that is why I am showing you the summary or paraphrase of the poem. So the poem is in five section, and the first section establishes the setting for the meditation. So at the first section, you will find the setting for meditation. That means the background of meditation. In first section you will find, and but it emphasizes the passage of time. 5 years have passed, 5 summer, 5 long winter. But when the poet is back to this place, the natural beauty and serenity, i- uh, it is still essentially the same. So after 5 years, you also find or found the same natural scenery there. So that is why it is called the revisit or revisit. And revisitation or revisit, also revisit or recollection, that is another important feature of romantic poetry. Now you will find the second stanza. In second stanza or second section begins with the meditation. You know, the first stanza was the setting for meditation, and so here you will find the begins the meditation, the beginning of meditation. The poet now realizes. So in second stanza, the poet now realizes that these beauteous forms, beauteous, you know, beautiful actually, these beautiful forms are have always been with him and deep seated in his mind. Uh, Whether he went, this vision, this vision has been felt in the blood and fell alone the heart. So this is the very important idea here, because here the poet uh, felt or feels the scenario or the beauty of nature, not by his body but in the blood, and felt alone the heart. So this is important. You have to feel the nature with heart, so that times you will forget your all the pains, pangs and pains in life. So this is the very idea that we have found from William Wordsworth, and it has affected his whole being, and they they were not absent from his mind, like from the mind of man born blind. So whenever we feel nature with our heart, so that times we feel that celestial desire, happiness or heavenly happiness. In hour of weariness, frustration, and anxiety, these things of nature used to make him feel sweet sensation in his very blood, and he used to feel it at the level of his impulse heart rather than in his waking consciousness. So yeah, when the poet feels weariness, you know, so anxiety or the frustration, so that times these things of nature used to make feel sweet senses. So this is the very idea, this is the important idea, that if we feel nature with our heart, so that times we will forget the frustration or anxiety or worldly desire, everything. So if you sacrifice our worldly desire or bodily desire, so if we feel the nature with our hearts, so that times we can easily forget our frustration, anxiety and worldly unfulfillment. So that is why the writer says he feels it with heart rather than in waking consciousness and true reasoning. So here the logic or the consciousness is not important. Important is you have to feel with your heart. And from this point onwards, Wordsworth brings to consider the sublime of nature, the greatness of nature, and his mystical awareness becomes clear. And Wordsworth's idea was that human beings are naturally uncorrupted. So this is the very important idea, you know. Here William Wordsworth says, so basically human beings are not corrupted. How? If naturally, so it means if you are natural, if you are tasked with nature, so that times there will be nothing to be corrupted, so there will be no corruption within you. So if you are natural or if you love nature. Sorry. Now, this is the third section, contains a kind of doubt. The poet is probably reflecting the reader's possible doubt so that he can go on to justify how he's right and what he means. So here the writer is doubtful, so whether the reader will believe him or not. They may go to justify how he is right and what he means. He doubts for just a moment whether This thought about the influence of nature is vain, but he cannot go on. He thanks the Sylvan way for the everlasting influence it has imprinted on his mind. So here, whether the reader believes him or not, believes his philosophy or not, it is nothing matter to him. So here, the matter is he thanks the Sylvian way. Sylvian, there is pastoral way, the pastoral scenery, and where the river. So he thanks the Sylvian way for everlasting influence it has imprinted on his mind. And his spirit has very often turned to this river for inspiration when he was losing the peace of mind. So this is the full of inspiration. So from nature he get the inspiration. And when he was losing the peace of mind or the path and meaning of life, so that times he gets the inspiration. And the river here becomes the symbol of spirituality. So this is the very idea, this is the main idea, I think, of the poem. Here you will find that whenever you will uh, you will suffer from pangs and pains or suffering, so that times you can get the inspiration, you can get the optimism from nature and peace of mind. So this is the very important idea from William Wordsworth. And it becomes the symbol of spirituality. Spirituality, that is a divinity, that is the heavenly happiness. Though the poet has become serious and perplexed in the fourth section, the nature gives him courage. Perplexed, that is puzzle or at a loss. But that times nature gives him courage and spirit enough to stand there with a sense of delight and pleasure. So nature always uh, gives us the courage, that gives us the power to fight against any type of miseries or roads. Then now the fifth and last section continues with the same meditation from where poet addresses his younger sister Dorothy. So Dorothy is important matter here. The sister, the real sister of William Wordsworth, and during his revisit, uh, sister, his younger sister Dorothy is with him, and whom he blesses, Dorothy, whom he blesses and gives advice about what he has learned. So here, the Dorothy is blessed by his brother, William Wordsworth, what he has learned from nature, and he says that he can hear the voice of his own youth when he hears her speak, and the language of his former heart. So whenever the writers will be old, so that times he can listen his youth with the mouth of her sister. The poet says that nature has never betrayed his heart, and that is why they had been living from joy to joy. And nature can impress the mind with quietness and beauty, and feed it lofty thoughts that no evil tongues of the human society can corrupt their hearts with any amount of contract with it. So this idea is very important. So nature can betray with anyone. The society, the human being can betray with you. Your relatives or your friends can betray with you, but nature cannot, or nature never betray with you. So if you love nature, if you go to the nature, so that times nature will give you always blessing, nature will give you always happiness. So that is why the poet says nature never betray. And if you are natural, if you go to the nature, if you have the task with nature, so that times there will be no chance to be corrupted as a human being. So that is why nature is superior, nature is all in all for William Wordsworth. And as a person, or as a so as a we are the praiser of William Wordsworth, we should believe it and we should go to the nature. Natural feelings are nature's superiority. Here in this poem you will find the nature's superiority, and the language is so simple and lucid of the poem, and that one is not tired of reading it again and again. The sweetness and style touches the heart of the reader. So really, such type of depiction, such type of alienation, that is very much important, and that will touch the reader. The medium of this poem is neither ballad or nor lyric, but elevated, blank verse that I have already discussed, and the blank verse that is used in the low tone familiar and muses, and move with sureness. And here you will find the very lyrical, not actually lyrical, but here you will find the very lucid language or lofty language that is very much developed, and you can enrich yourself with the language of the poem, though the poem is little bit larger. But if you understand the meaning, so that times it will be a great pleasure for you. It has the quiet pulse and suggestive of central peace, which is felt in all his great poetry, and this is the beauty of William Wordsworth. So this is the all for the summary. And now I will go to the next slide. Time is limited. Every class should be within 40 minutes, so that is why I have to hurry. So now this is the summary in short. So speaker sits out Tintin Abbey and reflects upon the power of nature over him in his youth, and worries about the losing their memories. So here you will find the power of nature, sublime, this greatness, and focuses the source of truth. So nature as a source of truth. Now I will discuss in short the subject matter, love for nature. This is the very important theme for the subject matter of our William Wordsworth. So already know that Wordsworth was the high priest of nature. His love of nature became the guide of his life, and nature was the lifeblood of his poetry. And he's the complete philosopher of nature. And about nature, you find the three stages of growth of poet of nature. This is I have already discussed that the early age when Wordsworth took nature just as a companion or boyish pleasure, and then youthful stage when nature attract him by her sights and sound, and the final stage arrived when he discovered the divine spirit in nature. So this is the idea of, and began to worship it for its inner significance. So the final stage, this is the indication of pantheism, that I am going to discuss. So then you will find the memory of nature since being pleasure. So whenever you have the memory of nature or visiting anywhere, so that times you feel pleased, or you will forget your pangs and pains. You will that will bring pleasure. And nature makes man noble. Really, nature is always enable us, and nature makes us noble, and makes free from corruption or bad person. you know Healing power of nature. So nature has a healing power, and nature helps our or cure our trouble and sorrow that I have already discussed. And if you feel any miserable condition, so that times or pangs and pains, so that times you should go to the nature. Then nature will make you recovered or cured. Then you will find the idea of pantheism. This is very important. The belief that there is a divine spirit pervading all the object of nature is called pantheism. This is the important theme or subject matter for the William Wordsworth poetry. And Wordsworth believed in the divine spirit that is pervading all the object of nature, that is spreading or presence. So here the writers finds the presence of God in nature. So that this is called pantheism. And here also find the writer finds the mystical knowledge about the existence of divine soul. Mystical or mysticism, another theme or subject matters of the poem. Mysticism also, the mysticism is the tendency of seeking the presence or connection of God with the things that living beside us. So this such type of tendency also will be called the mysticism. So also we find the task of mysticism in the poet of William Wordsworth. Then another subject matter, that is address to Dorothy, the poet's sister. Here you will find the Dorothy, name of Dorothy, and nature worship removes all the worries and troubles. He always advises Dorothy that nature always removes your all type of sorrowness or weariness. Then I will discuss shortly a theme of the nature. So here the theme of the nature, the man and natural world. So I have already discussed, you know. So here the speaker find that three things, that is physical nature, and then it can mean the sense of unity or connection, and then a connection between everything, and then he finds the divine presence, nature like mother nature. So this is the connection between man and natural world. Then we will find the memory and the past. So here you will find that whenever you feel worry or you feel any trouble in minds, so that times you can recollect your past incident that you visited in the previous time. So that times within a second you can I think you can forget your all kind of pains and pain, and you will feel the divine presence in the nature, knowing that how access your memory. So whenever you have the access to memory, that you have the experience to go to the nature, so that times it will be a great pleasure for your mind. Then you will find the next theme, you know, awe and amazement. So awe and amazement, you know, awe, that is the fear, and amazement, that is the entertainment. So in Tintin Abbey, here the speaker has the reaction to nature is one of the awe. He finds the view, the river bank, and you know, where the river there, he has the feelings of breathtaking, that is very much adventurous, I think, that is incredibly beautiful, and his breath at one point actually taken away. And once he has his epiphany with the divine presence, all the nature and all the turn into kind of deliciousness. So such type of awe or fearfulness that turns into religiousness or division, here he find, and he becomes the devotee, worshipper of mother nature. So this is the awe and amazement. Then transformation, you know, transformation, you know. So the poet describes the transformation between the young boyish William and the more mature speaker of the poem. So if you go to the nature, so that times your meditative power or your thinking power or thinking dimension or meditative dimension will be totally changed. So that is why you have the shifting, you have the transformation. So this is the nature that can make you transfer from boyish to mature person like William Wordsworth. This is very important theme, actually. Then the constructing region, you know. So if you have the very busyness, or if you have the very suffering from city life or the busy life or hectic life, so that times if you go to the nature, so that times your such type of constructing regions can make you free from such type of suffering. So that is why the writer says you should go to the nature. Then speciality of the poem, actually time is very uh, fast, so that is why I have to be hurry. Here you will find the revisitation, you know, that is the basic part of romantic poetry. And here you will find the Tintanabe makes the climax of William Wordsworth's first great period of creativity and announces his maturity as a poem and establishes a model for his mature poetic methodology. So that is why here the this is the specialty of the poem. Now I will discuss the memorable quotation of the poem. So you know that I do not have any chance to go through the text, so that is why I will show you the memorable quotation of the poem. So here is this memorable quotation that is taken from the Tinton Abbey. So almost suspended we are laid asleep in body and become a living soul, while with the eye made quiet by the power of harmony and the deep power of joy, we see into the life of things. So here the writer says, sorry, sorry for the internet interruption. Pause recording. Sorry. Actually, here is a internet connection interruption, so that is why I have to stop. However, I think it is fine. So here you will find the almost suspended. So here if we suspended or if we sacrifice our bodily desire, so that times from nature, if we feel nature with our heart, so that times it become a living soul. So nature will be a living soul whenever we will suspend it, we will suspend our or reject or avoid our bodily desire. So whenever we will reject our bodily desire, so that times we we feel or we become or nature will become a living soul, while with an eye made quiet the power of harmony. So that times your eye will have the power of harmony, and deep power of joy. You have the deep power of joy, and we see the life of things. So that time, so whenever we feel the nature with our heart, so that times the nature will be living soul, and we will feel the power of joy, or that eternal joy or heavenly joy. So such type of idea we will find from here. Another memorable quotation: "For I have learned to look on nature, and not as in the hour of thoughtless youth, but hearing oftentimes the still sad music of harmony." So here the writer says that I have learned to look the nature as a young, not as the hour of thoughtless youth, but this is the mature youth. So here you will find the transition of the writer, that from the youthless, thoughtless youth to the maturity, and when is matured or adult, going through the revisiting the natural place. So that times she has the he has the tendency, or he has the ability to think about the humanity or sad music of humanity. So this is the very idea. The another idea, actually time is already over, so that is why I should stop quickly. So here another, in nature and the language of the sense, the anchor of my purest thought, the nurse, the guide, the guardian of my heart and soul, of all my moral being. So here, this is the very idea. So nature is the anchor, anchor, the pioneer, purest thought, and nurse and guide, teacher. So the nature, to the poet, nature is a guide, the teacher or guardian of my heart and the soul of all my moral being. So this is the very idea, that is the supremacy of nature. Here we will find. So this is the new question analysis. You have three types of question. So part A, you have the brief question here, the romanticism, father of romanticism in Rousseau, and in English literature, father of romantic poetry, William Wordsworth, who are lake poets. So here you will have the answer as well. So I think you will go through the questions. Actually time is over, so that is why I have to be hurry, or I have to stop the lecture very short. So what is revisit, accompany, the sister Dorothy. So such type of question you will study. I think it will be a great help for you. So this question I cannot help showing you. How can we become the living soul? So here, according to Wordsworth, if we can throw up our bodily desire and can suspend our physical fleeing to enter into a deep meditation, our soul will awaken, and such a state is called the state of living soul. This is very important. And Sylvian, Sylvian means pastoral. This idea is very important. Then you will have the part B. In part B, 4 marks. Here you will find such type of question. So I think you may have the explanation. So such type of question you should study. And then you will have the, this is the NU question. So this is the broad question. So broad, as a broad question here, three stages growth of poet of nature you will find, and relationship between man and nature. So this is the important idea. This is the sources from where I collected the information. You can follow, even for your study. You can follow the link, and it is very important for you. So this is all for today. Inshallah, this is the first class. In the next class, or I have already told you that I will complete this course within 10 classes. So that is why, so in the next classes we have a lot of discussion. So hopefully you will be with me, and all the best for you. So thank you very much. Allah Hafiz.